right, so what is going on, everybody? This is Futures Brizio here, and I am just trying to do a live video here, and it is Tuesday afternoon, 4:15 p.m., and just going to do a little market wrap up from today. So this is my first time doing a live one on this, well, probably in a few years, but certainly on this OBS software. So hopefully this is broadcasting. It looks like it is, at least in my YouTube desktop here. So anyways, we'll just jump right in, and either way, this will be recorded, and I'll post it on the channel, even if this doesn't actually go out live. So all right, so let's just jump right in, and we'll take a look in futures first. So again, just kind of following up from what I did this morning. Wasn't really much change in the futures markets from what we had this morning. So we'll start off in copper here. Again, we did have this big sell-off for about 24 hours of price action here in copper. We did break through a level right here, but you can see we snapped right back into it again and just kind of started moving sideways. So I still have these two price alerts set, one below this swing low if price does roll over and keeps going down. Since it's already pulled back, if it breaks through here, I do anticipate it'll make a new low. And I have this one to the upside, which is above this wick, couple of points above here. So, which I think is probably more likely just in terms of looking at the larger trend on the higher time frame. And this price action where we kind of went up pretty aggressively after it broke through on this one candle here and came back in this kind of move very corrective fashion the last 4 hours. So I do anticipate that we will probably see this move higher maybe during the overnight hours. I'm going to keep these two price alarms in place, and we'll see what happens with this going forward here overnight and into tomorrow. So over to the DAX has continued to just rip to the north. Again, I didn't take this trade today because honestly the real good area for me to enter I missed just due to the time. So unfortunately that just happens. Some of these entries do come during the overnight hours. Some of them actually do happen right around the time early evening for me, in which case I can get in. That was the one I took yesterday. But then this one today happened more, during the time when I was sleeping. So I missed this one today, which was this little 1 hour zone right in here. But I was not awake during this time, so I missed this one. There really was no other place to get in. But this one yesterday I did take, because this one happened in the early evening hours. I had gotten in, if you watched the video I made yesterday, I got in somewhere around this spot right here. And I got out yesterday in here. Obviously, I could have held it, but I just kind of day traded it, and that was it. So, but I missed the second entrance. So that's something I've got to just work on myself here with these continuations. So nothing really happening there. Natural gas, same story. Nothing's really changed since this morning. As you can see here on the hourly chart, price has just basically gone nowhere the entire session. I do still think we're bullish here, although we are approaching this potential supply area, resistance area right here, where you can see price has gotten right up to there. So this is a bit of a trouble spot area for me. But essentially, this is like the last liquidity area back here where price filled in this gap. So I am still bullish, although again, cautiously in this area just because of this zone. If we get a break above here, then I think this will run up a lot further, at least back towards these previous highs. But natural gas just is not my favorite thing to trade right now. It's a little messy, and I think there's some worrisome things on the chart if you're a bull, but then again, there's some positive things. So we'll just sit tight and see what natural gas does here. It's definitely not at the top of my watch list right now. And then on to Live cattle, I did mention the trade I took this morning, which you can still see on the chart. And you can see we have reacted off of that area, precisely where I exited at this previous area. However, if we go to a shorter time frame, we can see, to me, this movement back to the upside looks pretty corrective. We had this big bullish candle down, and then now we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours basically since then of just very weak upside price movement. So I still do have this price alert sitting right here. You can see below, a couple of points below this low. So if this thing rolls over and I get alerted, if I don't happen to be in front of my chart, that it's moving back down, then I certainly would re-enter short. And I think the next downside target is back at these higher time frame lows way back here at this second red line. And as long as price holds this area, then I do remain bearish in this, bearish order flow we have going on. Again, this was our last swing high. And so if price, manages to come up here, solidly close above this area, then that would shift my momentum back to the upside, my bias back to the upside. But we don't have that right now. So we'll see what this does tomorrow. Could be a potential short entry if this downtrend continues. And again, we break through this support area, then I think we've got a nice run to the downside. But if it continues trading up, that's fine too. I'm not going to trade it long. I'll just let it go. And if and when it breaks above this area, then that would change my bias. But we don't have that right now. And so for now, I still remain bearish on this market for sure. All right, so that pretty much wraps up the live cattle and the futures trades. On to Forex. So I took two small losses today, about $60 in total on Forex. One on this dollar Swiss, and where I went long. I actually ended up closing it because I just don't like the way it looks. So the market kind of played around this afternoon. We had this candle right here which wicked down. And I had my stop just below here, but I closed it anyways. Just didn't like the looks of it, and it's really has done nothing all day. So, I mean, on the dollar Swiss, I do remain long, at least back to these highs. But we'll see. We also had this big move down right here. It has not taken out anything from a structural standpoint down here. But remember, as I said this morning, this is a lower high here on the daily chart versus this previous high. So, we have to look at whether this move up is just a correction to a new downtrend since we put in a lower high, or will we just continue to go up and take out this area? I'm not sure. We'll see tomorrow, but it's a little unclear right now. On the shorter time frames, the 4 hour, as long as we stay above this area right here, I am still looking to keep a long bias on this. But if we roll over and start coming down, and start really showing a lot of bearish momentum from this point. And certainly if it gets through here, then, my bias will change more bearish. But for now, I still remain moderately bullish on this market. So let's just continue on here. Pound Canadian, again, nothing much changed. We just kind of continue to grind a little bit higher today. And you can see again on the 4 hour time frame, we still have this swing area right here that I'm still looking at as kind of the zone where my bias might change. We're approaching that, but we're still quite a ways away. So still I remain bearish here. And, I kind of have this small little 30-minute zone right here. Price rolls over, breaks through here. Or if it goes up higher and forms a new higher low, I'll move this up. Then I'll look for a switch back to the downside. But as long as price stays within or below this rectangle here, which it represents this swing high, then I still remain bearish on this. But nothing happened the rest of the session today. On to the pound US dollar. Again, this is obviously very reliant on what the dollar is doing. If the pound US dollar begins to roll back to the downside, which it might, as long as this area holds here. Again, it's a lot like the pound Canadian. It's heading towards a major swing area. I mean, some could argue that this swing was actually the major swing, you know, where we had this retracement and now we've taken that area out. You know, this doesn't look, even though, yes, it's 3 4-hour candles bullish, it just doesn't look all, it looks more like internal structure to me. So, you know, it may turn out that this was the beginning of a new uptrend. I don't know. Maybe, you know, we had this move higher and then this whole thing has been a pullback and now we're going to go higher and keep going. That's fine, because if it ends up going higher, it's going to take out this area probably in one trading session anyways, and then I'll look to get in long from here. So, but I'm being a little bit more conservative and looking at this as the swing area versus this area here. We'll see how that turns out. Okay. So, based on where I'm looking at the swing zone, I still look at this as a bearish order flow just in a corrective mode, but I could be wrong. And if this breaks through here again with a solid close above this zone on, say, you know, 1 hour and 4 hour chart somewhere in there, then my bias will switch more long and, you know, we could go higher. And again, if we go to the daily chart, there is an argument to be made that this is now in bullish price momentum, because we had this low put in, arguably a swing low put in here, another one right here, and another one right here. And so, you know, theoretically, we could just keep going here. So we're going to have to see how that goes. But for now, that's how I'm leaving it. And Swiss yen, again, has done absolutely nothing. So not really doing anything with this. I do still think we're in bearish price order flow here. You can see why price has been held up, because if you look to the left at these lows over here is where we went to, and now it's reacting from here. But we're not seeing a real bullish bounce off this area. So I think this is probably just like a dead cat bounce, and we will see price roll over. And I think the real target in terms of short-term target will be back at these lows over here that I have marked off with this yellow box, and then potentially all the way down here. And I don't think these equal lows in here are, you know, are really the actual lows for this. I do think it will probably go further down. So, and this price action here does look pretty corrective. This was yesterday where we started trying to go down, and then we kind of chopped and just have gone a little bit higher, and then just kind of stopped right here. And so my bias on this is to the downside. Perhaps we might see an entry on this maybe during the overnight session. You know, like, not that I'm a big trend line person, but if this trend line breaks definitively here, then perhaps we get a break and we continue moving on down. And if we do, then my target again would be back at these daily lows back over here. And again, that this swing low will be ignored just by the fact that, again, we did not have real bullish price action coming off this low right here. You can see when we made this low previously back here, then we put in this big giant bullish engulfing daily candle that led to this uptrend. We don't have that here. We started to make one yesterday, and it came right back and closed about mid body, and then today has been just basically an inside bar, a little doji candle, and so that's, to me, is pretty bearish. So overall, I do think that the Swiss yen is going to continue down, but until I see a change in this bullish price action on the longer time frames, on the shorter time frames, this is the 15-minute chart, then I'll leave this alone. But if we get some definitive action back to the downside, then I would consider reestablishing a short position. And kind of the same idea on the US dollar yen. Now, this one confounds a little bit because of the US dollar. It gets back to what I was talking about with the pound dollar and the dollar Swiss. There's a little uncertainty on what those patterns actually are. If you look at the daily chart here of the dollar yen, you certainly, you know, I think there's still an easy argument to be made for further downside push, just based on these swing areas. We did have this swing It's not a real big swing. So whether this is part of the just a structural swing, or whether it's just an inside swing, we'll see. But you can see we've put 3 candles in here. We have not been able to push even into this rectangle area. So, but again, the thing that makes this more difficult is what's going on with the dollar. So we have some definite yen strength in the market. That's why the Swiss yen is trending lower. And I think that's also why we've seen this down move in the dollar yen, is yen strength. But the question is the dollar weakness going to play into this? And if there's uncertainty about the dollar being strong or not, then, that's going to be the determining factor. If the dollar does maintain some weakness here, then this will be a great trade to the downside. If the dollar strengthens, this will not be a good trade because you'll have 2 strong currencies going against each other, and in which case the Swiss yen would be a better option to trade out of those 2. But again, it really gets back to what you believe the bias is on the pound dollar and the dollar Swiss, looking at other dollar pairs. And again, you can make an argument that the dollar Swiss is potentially looking, to go short again, because we put in, as I mentioned, a lower high, and that this is all corrective. But, it's hard to argue against the dollar strength, though, because it's been strong for so long. We have this area in here that price has been bouncing off of, so we'll see. The pound dollar, again, on the daily chart, you can make an argument that, again, we're putting in higher lows and we may end up going higher. But, it's to me, it's not exactly clear. So we'll see what happens. And again, I want to see price break above this zone on the pound dollar before I would consider this to be definitely in an uptrend. So, like I said, in which case, if I had a choice between dollar yen and Swiss yen right now for an entry short, just based on the U.S. dollar uncertainty, I would probably go with the Swiss yen. If those are the 2 I had to choose from, which for me it is in terms of the having yen pairs, because those are the only 2 yen pairs I follow. Okay, so yeah. So that's about it, guys. So again, we've got, we looked at all these potential down on the cattle futures, really kind of moderately bullish, but kind of messy on natural gas. DAX just continue to look for pullbacks and longs, and copper, I think we're still looking at bullish price action. We did break support, but have snapped back. So if we get some continuation to the upside, fine. If it breaks below here, then we're going lower. If we take out this little swing here, I think we continue the uptrend, and that's reflected in the 2 alarms I have set here. So, all right, so I'm going to leave it there, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. I hope that helped. And if you have any questions or comments, again, leave them down below. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks.